me talk to y'all for a minute. Man, I turned this podcast rap show to a business. Refugee been hustling for years since I got admitted. Man, I got admitted, I was broke, then I fucking did it. In the streets fitted, man, no kidding. Catch me with a sweatsuit.
And one of the ways that I learned how to invest when I was going through my fucking tumultuous time that made me some money, helped me get out of my situation, was investing in gold. Now, why would somebody invest in gold? I know there's tons of podcasts on this, but I just want to reiterate this. Investing in gold is investing in your savings. What do I mean by that? Investing in gold is basically you're saying that I'm going to have control over my savings, my wealth. So why is that the case? And what does that even mean? Basically, the government is the Federal Reserve, Bank of Canada, Federal Reserve in fucking US, central banks around the world are promising, I want to say around the world because some of them around the world are pretty bad. But in Canada, they're promising a 2% inflation. That means every year you're going to get a minimum of 2% loss on your cash savings. Every year you're going to use 2% minimum. And for you guys that know, these past 3 years was not 2%. This shit was more like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You know what I'm saying? Thanks to fucking COVID. And I know they had to do what they had to do. It was a fucked up situation. QE, quantitative easing, is what the central bank does. And it's great if you own assets. If you're Mr. Warren Buffett, if you're Mr. Jay-Z or whatever the fuck, and you got your money in real estate and you got your money in stocks and businesses that people use that are essential services, if you got your money in fucking whatever the fuck that's making money, then it's great. But if you're a layman person who has no idea what the fuck's going on like I was, you're getting crushed. You're getting crushed by gas prices, food prices, rent prices. You know what I'm saying? And people don't understand, why is this all happening? Why is all this getting more expensive? Bro, few things. People want to sit here and blame corporate greed. That's the classic left liberal explanation of everything. It's all corporate greed. It's like, oh my God, yeah, sure. That's why mom and pop shop down the street have to raise their prices 10%, right? Because of corporate greed. Like, bro, don't give me that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying people aren't greedy and people aren't using inflation to spike up prices unnecessarily. People do that. But everybody doing that at the same time, you don't think that was a little fishy? You don't think that COVID happening and the lockdowns and the CERB and the SEBA and the money printing and then all the inflation that happened after that, you don't think that had anything to do with it? You don't think that's just a coincidence that all that just happened to happen? Like corporate greed just happened to happen at the same time intensely over 3 years? No. What happened was quantitative easing. The government printed a bunch of money in the US and Canada and around the world. And they went and they bought bonds. The central banks bought bonds. And what did the government do with that money that they take from the bonds that the central bank bought? They just fucking gave it away. And all this excess money, it's supply and demand. People don't understand economics. Supply and demand. When you increase the money supply, but the same shit, the shit that we're buying stays the same, or it decreases because everything's shut down. Well, guess what happens to the price of everything? It goes like this: supply and demand. So that's what happened during COVID. So where does gold and silver come in? Specifically gold. Gold has historically been money for 2,000 plus years since civilization has been around. Gold has been historically money. We've used gold. Humans have evolved to say this shit is malleable. You can store it. It's durable. It's not going to rust. You can break it down to smaller pieces. You can keep it. You can pretty much, all the gold that's been around is pretty much still around since the beginning of time. And you can wear it. And it's valuable. It's scarce enough that it's valuable, but it's abundant enough that we can use it as money. Now, obviously, we have a lot more money now than there is gold. But at the same time, that's why gold is so valuable. Because gold has been money historically, and not one single fiat currency, from my understanding, has survived the test of time. The only currency that has stood the test of time, one of the only currencies, is gold. Because gold is not only money, but it's also currency. And so if you want to keep your money in something that's going to store value, especially as all this money printing keeps happening, it happened in 2008 in the US. Here in Canada, it happened recently during the COVID pandemic. They're going to keep printing money and keep printing money and keep printing money. That's what these governments do. And so what's one of your best ways to shield from that is gold, because you can't print gold. You can print money, but you can't print gold. And so what gold is saying, hey, government, I'm not going to keep my money in something that you can keep printing, which is cash savings. I'm going to keep my money in something you can't print and that no one other person owns.
Let me talk to y'all for a minute. Man, I turned this podcast rap show to a business. Refugee been hustling for years since I got admitted. Man, I got admitted, I was broke, then I fucking did it. In the streets fitted. Man, no kidding. Catch me with a sweatsuit.